So this story is called Daniel and the Scary Sleepover. Things were not looking good for God's people. They had been captured and taken far from home. And now they were slaves of the king of Babylon. But God had not left his people. He was with them, and he was looking after them. Daniel loved God and obeyed God. Now God made Daniel able to understand lots of difficult things. So it wasn't long before the king of Babylon noticed him. King Darius liked how clever Daniel was. So he made Daniel his most important helper of all and put him in charge of lots of other things. But the other helpers didn't like this. They wanted the king to like them. They wanted to get rid of Daniel. So they spied on Daniel. They tried to find things wrong with Daniel, things they could tell the king, but there weren't any. None. They couldn't find anything at all. Except there was just the one thing. Every day, 3 times a day, without fail, no matter what, Daniel went to his room and he closed the door. And what's he doing here?
Praying.
Praying. He prayed. 3 times a day he prayed. They smiled to themselves. Let's get the king to make a law. No one is allowed to pray to anyone except to the king. Daniel isn't going to obey that law, and he'll be punished. They thought that was a pretty good plan. They were really pleased with themselves for being so clever, and they hurried off to tell the king. The king liked their idea. He didn't know he didn't know that they were tricking him. So he made it into a law. Everyone must pray, only to me. If you don't, the lions will have you for their dinner. Well, Daniel heard this, and he knew it was wrong to pray to anyone except God. He had to do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant he would die. So David went to his room, and he closed the door. What do you think he did?
Prayed.
He prayed. Whoa. Now, that's just what the bad men knew Daniel would do. They skipped straight off to tell the king, "Oh, your most glittering highness, your law says, does it not, that everyone must pray to you alone, sire?" "Yes," said the king. "Oh, magisterial brightness, then correct us if we're wrong, but it would seem that Daniel is praying to God, not to you." The king was sad. He'd been tricked. He didn't want to hurt Daniel, but he couldn't change his law. And so he let the soldiers throw Daniel to the lions. "May your God, who you love so much, rescue you," the king said. Here's the lions. Look at those lions. They look pretty fierce, huh? Fierce-looking lions. Oh, man. What do you think's going to happen? Oh, look at this. The king went back to his palace, but he didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. He tossed and turned until finally, at the first glimmer of dawn, he leaped out of bed and ran straight to the den. "Daniel," he cried, "has your God rescued you?" "Yes," Daniel shouted. "God sent an angel to close the lions' mouths." Look at the king peeking through the hole. And there, resting his head on Daniel's lap, was the biggest lion of all, purring like a little kitten. The king brought Daniel out of the den. "Look," he said, "Daniel doesn't even have a scratch." The king made a new law. Daniel's God is the true God, the God who rescues. Pray to that God instead of me. God would keep on rescuing his people, and the time was coming when God would send another brave hero like Daniel, who would love God and do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant he would die. And together, they would pull off the greatest rescue the world has ever known. Pretty cool story, huh? Yeah. Would you want to hang out with lions? If you're safe? I don't recommend it.
I want to hang out with house cat lions.
House cat. Oh, I like that. That's much safer. That's a good plan. Let's plan on that.